Good, good morning. We're laughing. I just started to record without. Yeah. Now we're awake.
Which is good. Absolutely, it woke us up. It kind of
It
nudged
wakes
us
us up.
into the energy of our podcast.
Mm,
Welcome.
welcome. What are we going to talk about today?
I would say the humanization and the current dehumanization of work, and the maybe we can go into the effect that it has on people and the good and the bad effects on organizations. But I was triggered, and we briefly talked about it before the recording. I was triggered by our mail lady this morning. So in Belgium, the post people, let's call them the post people, they have like so many seconds to post a letter in your box and so many seconds to bring you your box to your door, and this completely cuts away the human contact. There's no more time to say hi or for a chat or anything, and we have a mail lady who still does that. She still rings your bell and is happy to have a chat, and it's so wonderful. She knows our names and we know her name, and this is human connection, right? And so often, too often, this is budgeted away or saved away because there's no money for that, and let's maximize the efficiency and the money, and the result is what I think is dehumanization.
Mm. Yeah. So if we're viewing this, the way this works is that we just talk a little bit and then we start record. And this morning when we were talking a bit, that mail lady was ringing the door, and I hear you spoke Flemish, and yeah, nice conversation. I didn't understand anything, but I heard you in the background, distant. And you tell me this is probably the last time I'm going to see her. Well, at least as a mail delivery woman, anyway. And here's the thing. Yeah, you have heard these stories as well. If you're viewing this, we used to have this and that, and people used to have time. And if they worked in elderly care, they actually had time to sit down with that person they were caring for. Maybe if you have home nursing, as we have in Sweden, they go around and help elderly people. They visit them and see if everything's okay and help them. They don't have time to be nice. There's only stress. And my father in a nursing home, same thing. I mean, the staff is really stellar. They try to. But if you're thinking about that, we have become so used to this, at least in the Western world. No, you don't have time. Of course you don't have time. It used to be that way, but no. And we don't have time because we don't have money. And that's really strange. And it's really personal at the same time. It's a human being. It's human connection. And why is it that we lose that? And so we are becoming a bit numb, are we not? We're becoming okay. That's just the way it is. What can you do? That's just the way it is. And there is a truth. There has been rationalizations that are meaningful. We can no longer produce this inefficient way. We will raise production in this or that factory or this or that mine or this or that logging industry, and we have more machines and automation, so the cost of consumer goods go down. On the other hand, in Sweden, we have a dysfunctional healthcare. In Sweden, one of the richest countries in the world, we cannot really afford it. A local story, a man on the hospital really ready for his surgery to treat his cancer, really in the preparation stage, and they have to cancel it because they don't have nurses. Someone was ill or something. Are we okay with that? Why is that?
Yeah, no, you say Sweden, but I have the same stories for Belgium. And I think if we look at the UK or the Netherlands or France or Germany, to just name the surrounding countries, we'll probably hear and see the same things. we call them, if I loosely translate it, we call them like impediment professions, like the professions where we can't find enough people to do it. And
Mm.
and the thing is that those are the most crucial roles in our society. It's about healthcare and education. Those are, yeah, and then yeah, technology. But we could say that technology is not the most life-threatening thing in society. But it is the fact that healthcare and education are becoming these impediment professions. I think that's a strong message from the world around us. So why is that? There's no money for it, but we are we are at the peak of prosperity, and it only goes up. Economies keep growing, and companies keep
Yeah.
making record profits, and but there's no money for it. There's no money for a chat. The cleaning lady has, yeah, but even
Yeah.
the cleaning lady that you cross in the building, when you say hi to her, she goes, yeah, yeah, it's really nice, but I don't have time for a chat because I only have so many minutes to clean this floor. And
Mm. Hmm. Mm.
yeah, and
Profit hunger, possibly. I mean, we could rant about this and get really emotional, and we could have a kumbaya moment, and we could really be angry or energized or passionate and say we have to fix this and be political. What's more interesting, and I think what we are about, is we're trying to unpack this. What is the let's keep the brain on top of the head? Why is it? Is it a choice or, well, I'm thinking that there are many factors, and this is not a linear causation. So whatever we're going to talk about, we'll talk about dehumanizing or humanizing work. It's a bit like health factors. You have a number of them: exercise in a not too much and not too little, healthy food, not too much, not too little, good sleep, healthy relationships, and so on. And it's the same thing here. But there are some things, and one of the things that comes to mind is this kind of almost strange knowledge gap. The thought that the rationalization principles that works in mass production and the way you organize work and manage work and workers in mass production would apply to healthcare, scale of economics and centralizations, for instance. And it breaks down. It doesn't work. It's that beliefs makes it inefficient, which makes you have to squeeze more out of each individual human being. And you mentioned a well-known example in the Netherlands, an
yes,
elderly care company. Someone started it. There was a company counting seconds and minutes. Someone was fed up and changed it, and it works. You know more. Maybe you can talk about that example.
yeah. I'm at risk of using the wrong names, but it was called Thuiszorg, and the new organization became Buurtzorg, or the other way around. So yeah, the home nurses, they didn't have time anymore to have a chat or a cup of coffee with the people. And if there's one thing that a lot of elderly people that are still at home need, it's company, because they're often sitting there alone. And the value of those caretakers was not just to replace the bandage, or to wash the people, but to have a chat with them. They looked forward to that visit, and then suddenly that visit was, they efficiencyed it out. Just became the bandage and the wash, and they had to rush to the next patient.
Hmm.
What actually was a human connection thing became an Excel exercise. And there was one middle, if I remember the story correctly, I might be wrong. There was one middle manager somewhere who said this is so wrong, and he was fed up, and he stepped out of it, and started a new organization who did exactly the same, where the nurses could self-manage their rounds. They did their own kind of planning, and they had time to talk to people again. And that company overthrew the other one. Like, all the nurses switched to the new company, and they kind of overthrew the other one. And they still, it's year that story is years ago now, right? And I have no idea what the status of the company of that organization is now, but they were, and I guess they still are profitable, and they deliver the true value of human connection to those people who are in need of connection. And I think it's a beautiful story of the dehumanization on one side and the humanization on one side, and how the
Hmm.
humanized organization is now the successful one. And I think it's a beautiful, inspiring story. It's an invitation for us to look at the other side of it, I think.
Yeah, it was really, you really struck me there. What was a human connection, you might have said? What was a human connection became an Excel exercise. Dang. Yeah, and a story is a story. This is a story. How true is it? How repeatable is it? And if we unpack it, is it really, really true? Well, if you're listening or viewing this, maybe that's not the interesting part. Really interesting perspective here. The really interesting perspective is there are other stories. It is possible to humanize work. It's also possible to dehumanize work. I myself, part of a nothing complicated medical examination, a snoring problem. So maybe I have a sleeping, when you have it, when you sleep, you have this breaks. I don't know what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now 1 year and a half, and I can see it. I see as a consumer, as someone in the system needing a little bit of care. It's not a person problem with the people, the workers in the healthcare. It's a problem with the system. So they try to do this. We want to raise efficiency, and we centralize functions, and we do them really narrow with the belief that it will increase the productivity. But I have witnessed, and the story is a story, so it's just an anecdote. How true is it? But I witnessed how true value creation gets lost in task management and mistakes, like putting me in the wrong queue for the next station in the chain of value production. So, and not even the managers understand the value chain no more. So the value that we're going to produce is lost. No one is responsible, and no one understands it. And we create a game of people that are stressed out and run faster, going nowhere. And in the IT industry, where I know, it's kind of the same thing. We're busy doing a lot of stuff. Make no mistake. And a story is a story. Of the last 10 years, I have witnessed it go up in the same setting. Do we create more value by running faster? I don't know. It's really hard to tell. But have we worked with a lot of inefficiency, like being so stressed out that we created a poor architecture? Yes. Are there examples in the organization where one of the more skillful architects have noticed the team working for weeks with something? If I only had known, because they went down the wrong route, this could have been solved literally in 15 minutes in a different way. So a story is a story.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, yeah.
why is it that this stress, we talked about tension the last episode, that's really a major factor. You get something here, I notice.
Yeah. I was linking it back to our stress factor from exactly the last episode, right? A
Mm,
brain under stress is in fight flight mode, so there's not enough space to reflect on the right thing, which causes mistakes. That's one thing. There's so many. You're bringing up examples, but there's so many examples I can think about of the last couple of years, and I'm making assumptions, but I'm some of these stories are due to work pressure and too much on the one person, and a security breach because the security guy was also the network guy, and actually the one guy
mm,
every project needed, and he was on 17 project at the time, and the security project is going on for was going on for 2 years already, and then the company got hacked, and it cost them millions. So what would it have cost them to focus and do that security thing first, and then the rest?
yeah,
No, but
yeah,
yeah, and it's so many. Yeah, but those are so many things that come to mind now, right? It's I'm also unpacking this a little bit. because then we could go into multitasking and context switching and all of that. But it's those are all also resource Excel file exercises that happen, right? We
Okay,
can
yeah.
plan that person half a day on that project and 2 days on that project, and then the project can keep going, and then that's
Hmm.
efficient. It costs us less, but what's the true cost in the end? Like that task-based management. Where's the But we never. I haven't been with an organization, Magnus, that has been able to tell me what the indirect cost is. What's the indirect cost of this? Did you did
Yes.
you
Hmm.
did you measure your waiting time and your frustrations and your stress and I know we can't, but that's my invitation. Try to make that tangible a little bit. I do, I'm a scrum master and my trade is make things transparent. So I go look for these things because I want to make them transparent in organizations. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so let's headline something. A proper management of your time makes a difference to your productivity, and you need to arrange the time so that you are not constantly task switching. You need to have focus. So, and then you pointed to a thing like a project manager and doing possibly a Gantt chart, and the belief is that more resource utilization, every single person has to be 100% booked, then will be maximum efficiency, which is a natural thing to believe, but it's not true because of that's one of the reasons, the stress and the task switching. And second, you're not even working on the right thing. You are doing the wrong thing and you're doing it hard and quickly. And third, you do not know queuing theory, sorry. Because with
Yeah.
queuing theory, you can prove it's been proven so many times over and over, 100% utilization of different parts in the system will produce worse results. So back to Excel.
Mm-hmm.
This is not who we are. If we are a system that is full of humans, we need to embrace and understand humans. As I used to say, humans are at the start and the end of everything, at the center. If you do not understand humans, you don't understand anything, and you are not properly managing the system or organization or company, are you? Because what if that human was able to bring all of his or herself instead of being reduced to a stressed out machine?
Mm-hmm.
What if? And is it possible?
Yeah, well, I have a very simple answer to that question, Magnus. It's a yes, it is possible.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, I think we mentioned, or I mentioned it, is the idea of slack time or a buffer, like a
Hmm.
buffer of
Hmm.
time to leave some time for the variance, for learning, for human connection. And building on what you just said, that would be an invitation as well to have that slack time. Um, what if we created slack time in healthcare?
Yeah.
Like, what if we still did the task management? Because I don't think it's that bad of an idea to have an idea how much time something takes. But then by default, say, and now we do plus 20%, and that's how we calculate capacity. And that
Yes.
we leave that buffer, like, and let's see if that buffer is enough. And how do you measure it? Well, you can't, but just ask people.
And
That's
who
human
who
connection.
who is going to do that task management? Rhetorical question. It needs to be as close to the work as humanly possible. You cannot have this morning, again, true story, they were doing a spin on the news about people leaving their job, their work at the hospital close to where I live. Was the story. The working conditions are so bad. Okay. And so then they switched to some head director of this huge tens of thousands of people. And it's very clear by the way that she speaks that she has no real idea about this problem. 14 people have left in orthopedy. I don't know how to say it in English.
Orthopedagogy is what we call it here, but
Probably, you know, so it's
orthopedic.
not
Yeah.
it's not insignificant, and I realize you cannot talk about anything on the news, but just I'm aware that managers and HR are working this problem. What's another problem? Management has become so distributed and so big, so you no longer understand the complex problem. Taylor, he pointed to a situation where the processes were simple enough that the manager could understand the whole picture and help uneducated workers so they together did something better. That's not true anymore. Because of the complexity of work, you need to have the management at the workers. And one of the most dehumanizing trends is that people that do this work are not trusted. Teachers, nurse, doctors, someone else outside that do not understand are managing their work and excel over human relation.
Mm-hmm.
So the task management needs to be at the place of work, and the humans working the situation understands it the best.
Yes. What does management do then? Because that's the question. When I talk about this subject, I so often get this. What do managers do, and what do leadership do? And for me, it's really simple. We still need. Well, maybe we need less managers, but that's maybe for another. That's maybe for another topic or another of our recordings. But those people are there. We talk about self-management, and with self-management comes servant leadership. What if our leaders, they set the direction for us, but have an idea where we want to go, but then bring that task management back to as close as possible to where the work is, or just where the work is, and be there to support these people as simple as they can. We talk about, well, impediments management, help them to remove impediments in their work. What is blocking you today of taking care of your patients? Going back to healthcare, what is blocking you today of taking proper care of your patients? That there is nobody better to ask that question to as the nurse, him or herself. What can I do to help?
Yeah. And there are some perspectives that makes a difference.
Sure.
Do not understand this problem so that the manager really have a choice, because there are the same victims. There's the same stress. They cannot think clearly.
Absolutely.
because of reductions, they maybe have 50 direct reports, plus a complex environment. They are responsible for the processes, and healthcare is not like you can just miss out. There are laws, and so there you go. But what does help is to get closer again. And if you're going to help people out, talk with them. Do not hide behind Excel. And the so-called human relations, how many have experienced that human relations has been really humans? Why is it delegated to special functions? The restoration of the very close cooperation between management or employer and employee is one of the key inquiries we need to make. If we're going to humanize workplace and bring productivity up, we need to restore that relationship, because from my experience, both sides are losing, both sides are victims.
Absolutely.
And so to blame the managers or blame the workers, it's not going to help. You will never solve your problem. Never.
Absolutely. And then instead of the us and them paradigm, it becomes the us story. It's not us and them, it's the us, right?
We're in this boat together, but the manager boots the system up, as I say. So the manager said, we have a really complicated situation right now. I know you're stressed out, but my friends, let's sit down and talk this out. I need your help to work this problem. And my expectation of you is this and that. And my support to you is this and that. And we shall meet frequently, and we shall not give up until we have started to see a positive trend. Because after all, we care about the work we do. That's the language. So if you're a leader or manager viewing, that's the language you need to embrace. Get out of Excel. Your work is humans. That's the only thing you're responsible for, humans. I don't know. A bit of ranting there, but it's true.
Well, I don't see it as a rant. I see this. There's a lot of invitations in this talk, Magnus. But one thing, maybe one last thing before we wrap this. What you did here was so beautiful because we talk about human and human connection, and by saying those sentences you just did, for me, it's one of the most powerful things you can do to create human connection. That is vulnerability.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you're in a leadership role,
Hmm.
going to the work floor and say, "Hey, this is also too big for me. It's too big. There's too much complexity. I lost the picture, but please help me out with it. I need you to help me out with it." It's such a call for help. It's a call for action. It's a call for connection, and even maybe for a bit of kindness. And that's, for me, that's another invitation to make it more human workplace again.
Yeah. Oh, but there's balances here, because another major trend I see is total abdication of responsibility in management. So make no mistake, you are truly and utterly and fundamentally responsible, but
Oh
you
yeah,
do not have the full picture, and that's the difference. So you need to say, as a manager, this is my fault, but we're in this together and we can only solve it together. I need your help, and here's what I'm going to bring. So that's, there's
yeah,
not like a kumbaya. No, I'm not. So you're self-managed. So I'm just here. I cannot do anything either. If you have that language as a manager, you're sorely mistaken. You're not doing your job. Being at the workplace is not like, just to be. I know that is not what you said, but I react to that major trend of abdicated management. But the reason why they have abdicated is that the managers above them has not made it clear, and they have not provided proper working conditions because the managers are stressed out. So there you go. But I need to
yeah.
time out here.
No. But it's a fantastic call out, Mike, because now it's a call for accountability, and I cannot agree with you more. It's
Accountability,
really about,
vulnerability, proper time
yeah,
management at the right place, not the wrong place. We have several key insights. Understand resource utilization in queue management. If you don't,
mm,
you're not taking your job seriously.
absolutely.
Be accountable.
That's a short and powerful recap
Yeah.
of
Be
this talk.
be
Absolutely.
accountable to be vulnerable and lead by example. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's so easy and it's so hard at the same time. You just have to be human.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you experience these things in any way, good or bad, let us know. Do reach out. We're happy to have a chat about it as well, if you like.
Happy to learn.
And yeah, absolutely. And as always, thank you for listening.
Thank you for viewing.
And Magnus, as always, thanks for having this great chat again.
Thank you as well. Thanks for playing. That's it for today, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, we have a
Bye.
wrap.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.